The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to, would you believe, the final Topic Time show of March of 2024. What an amazing year 2024 has been for the show. No surprise, of course, now in my 14th year. I have an incredible guest tonight. He's from the biggest little state in the union, Rhode Island, and he's gotten me a lot of other guests that do what he does. But tonight I'm interviewing him, and it's going to be a great show, and we'll get to that in a minute. But before we do, we've got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So, we have Personal Best Karate in Southeastern. We have Plymouth County Power Sports in Middleborough. Great to have them back. We have Pal's Driving School in Middleborough, setting up classes for June, July, and August. Get on that website. We have Hanover House of Pizza in Hanover. They make great Sicilian pizza, Greek salads, and have awesome people working there, and they deliver. We have Bulldog Sports Cards in Middleborough. We have Lynch's Towing, Auto, Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton. One number for towing, one number for projects. My pal Lynchy there is always looking for new scrap metal, wheels, anything to do with transportation. He handles it all. We have New England Floorscapes in Middleborough. We have Boombox in Middleborough. We have Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We have Tom Auto in Middleborough. We have One Good Credit in Brockton. We have Carver Jewelers, Ronald R. and Lyle Delano Goldsmiths in Carver. We have Kingston Auto Body in Kingston. We have Crazy Axes Rec Center in Hanover. We have Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We have Cycle Pros in Bridgewater. We have Cornerstone Barbershop in Pembroke. We have Good Old Dave's Automotive in Hanson on Route 58. We have Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We have Doggy Boutique, all-breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next-door neighbor, Debbie Siddell in Brockton. We have the Auto Shop, run by Master Mechanic Ed Rooney in Hanover. We have RW Carpet and Flooring in Norton, covering floors for 50 years. We have DNS Auto Works and Collision Specialists in Abington on Route 58. We have Easton Fitness in the Village Shops in Northeastern. We have the Rug Resort in Northeastern, cleaning today for healthier tomorrow. We have the Gun Runner LLC, the Second Amendment Freedom Store in Middleborough, well known for customer service, pricing, and selection. We have Joe's Diner in Taunton. We have Haven Psychiatric Services right here in the building at 50 Oliver Street in Northeastern. And I want to thank you guys very much. That's room 211. And now I'll introduce Mr. Jeffery Haas. You don't go by Jeffrey, right?
Jeffrey's fine. Either's
Okay.
fine.
You like the formal stuff. Cool. Okay. And you're a podcaster, you're a comic book designer, and you've gotten me quite a few people, and in the paper industry. Obviously, not the toilet paper industry. Not that that's not important too. I figured I'd just throw that in there. I was hopping on that comment for the last 3 hours. I figured, yeah, why not? In this day and age, you can talk about stuff like that. And you're a teacher too.
That's correct.
And what kind of teacher? Did you say you're a gym teacher?
Special education.
Oh, special ed. Got it. Okay. Do you teach at a high school or middle school?
I teach in a junior high in Central Falls.
Oh, Central Falls. Okay. Are you a lifelong Rhode Islander?
For the most part, I lived in Arizona for a little while, lived in South Carolina for a little while, lived in Baltimore for a little while, Maryland.
Oh, okay. Well, where did you grow up?
Warwick, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. So you did. All right. So you started out in Rhode Island and you circulated.
Yes.
Oh, I bet. Okay, because that's how it is with my show. I try to find out about the journeys that my guests have taken in life, because I always say everything is connected. The journeys that we've taken before are going to lead to the journeys that we will take. That's kind of how I look at things. All right. Well, what is your primary comic strip that you create? We emailed some pictures, and we're going to look at them on the back of the beautiful green screen. Talk about them a little bit, and then
I'm the writer of and the creator of The End of All Terminus, which is a science fiction epic, sort of like for fans of Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, that kind of thing. The second issue is launching April 4th, on Kickstarter. So the notification page is up right now. So anyone listening, please go to Kickstarter. Click notifications under The End of All Terminus. The more notifications I get, the more likely it is to be at the top of searches. So please follow that. And it's like I said, it's a sci-fi epic. Lovers of Star Trek, the movie Aliens, Battlestar Galactica, all will find something they love in this comic book.
Okay. Now, how long did you just say this is you just started out with this comic strip, or have you been doing this a while?
This one's the second issue, so it's been about a year.
Oh, it has. Okay. And when it comes to design, now do you write your own comics? Do you illustrate them as well, or do you have someone else do it?
I'm the writer. The artist is Brad Shipp.
Okay.
And the letterer is Todd Tashioka.
Okay, I understand. Okay. Now, how far are you going to go? Are you going to possibly, have you ever done any work in film when it comes to comic strip design or anything at all? Because I'm trying to, where I'm going is, are you going to be eventually trying to do that? Maybe making it into an animated series on YouTube or something?
Oh, that would be fantastic. I mean, for now, if I could just finish the story, my series, that would be fantastic. But that depends on the backers on Kickstarter. And I mean, obviously there's dreams of bigger things, but at the moment I would love just to be able to finish the story that I want to tell.
Okay, that's great. All right. Have you ever done anything in film before?
Not really, no.
No, you haven't. Okay. Did you go to college? And if so, excuse me, what did you major in and where did you go?
I went to the University of Rhode Island. My degree actually is in anthropology. I was a primatologist for the first few years of my life of college, post college, as adult life. I worked with chimpanzees for a little while in Arizona. I worked with rhesus monkeys in South Carolina for a little while. I researched howler monkeys in Costa Rica for a little while. So that was like the first 4 years of like adulthood was doing that.
Okay.
From, Rhode Island.
Anthropology. Okay. Why did but you're not still doing that now, right?
No, I moved over to being a special ed English teacher. For different reasons. I mean, one reason was that for jobs in anthropology, there wasn't really that many. As long as you didn't want to, if you didn't want to do biomedical research, there wasn't a whole lot of jobs, and I didn't want to do biomedical research for obvious reasons. I didn't want to hurt any animals.
Good for you.
So
That's great. I'm so happy that you said that. Okay. Wow. All right. But being an anthropologist now, when I think of the biggest, the most prominent anthropologist ever, that would have to be Margaret Mead. And you think you know who she was?
Yes.
She was, and she traveled all around the world. I think she did a lot of covering of the Samoan Islands.
Yeah.
Because anthropology isn't just the study of animals; it's the study of culture too, in different parts of the world.
Right.
So, I mean, you went to Arizona, you studied the rhesus monkeys. Did you ever travel abroad to study cultures abroad as well?
I didn't end up doing human cultures because I wanted to focus on primatology because I was more interested in primates like monkeys and apes. So I was, like I said, I was in Costa Rica for a little while. I was researching howler monkeys, which was really kind of fun.
Okay.
And then that was like a summer. And then I moved back, went back home, finishing college. And that's when I went to Arizona next for the chimpanzees, and then South Carolina for the rhesus monkeys. But it's more like I said, focusing on the primatology aspect of it. It just was a greater passion than anthropology, human cultures, something of that nature. That's not interesting. It just wasn't the direction I wanted to head in.
I understand. Now, was there anything? But what I want to know is, was there anything about your study of anthropology which inspired you to write your comics as they are somehow?
I would say any story that's told well should be thought provoking, and within the comic book, The End of All Terminus, there's a lot of analysis on how people think and act and culture. And
Right.
there's 7 different species. These are the last 7 species in the universe trying to escape the universe. And each species kind of represents an aspect of humanity. There's a religious group of a species that's very religious based. There's one that's more peaceful, plant based. There's more like a warrior culture. And it's kind of like different views of what humanity could be, but represented by different alien races.
Okay, that's fascinating. Tell me about your podcast. What is it, and when do you do it, and how often?
Okay, so my podcast is Traversing the Stars. I usually have 2 episodes released a week.
Okay.
I interview celebrities from movies and television. I interview comic book writers. I interview musicians from time to time. They're very occasional, an athlete. But it's very like I said, if you can find it on YouTube under Traversing the Stars. I just passed my 800 subscribers, so go me. Very excited by that. And a lot of, if you like Star Trek, I have about 30 guests from Star Trek TV shows. I have some from Star Wars, different let's say comic books, DC, Marvel, basically like all over. It's a good range of guests.
Wow.
Okay. They're about usually 30-40 minute interviews.
Oh wow! And is it a visual podcast like my
Yeah.
show? Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's a Zoom video podcast. Like I said, right now I just released one with Martha Hackett from Star Trek Voyager.
Wow.
She played Seska. She was one of the villains. Just recently had Gabriel Ruiz from Star Trek Lower Decks. and then I did a couple of comic people in between. But I've been doing it now. I'm about to have 2.5 years in for this podcast.
Okay, and you do it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you do it out of your house, or do you do it at a TV station?
I do it at my house. I don't have the money to get a nice station like you do.
Well, hey, if you inspire the right people, you can have them help you. That's what I've done, and I'm sure that's. But considering the people you've interviewed, that's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Okay. You ever done anything in music or sports?
No, I've never been a successful athlete or musician, as it were. I've interviewed a few, but me myself, I've never been successful enough in the music career to pull that off, which would be nice, but I've never been able to pull that off.
What about acting? You ever done acting?
In a very small way. I had a taste of it.
There are no small acting roles. Remember that. Okay. Well, like in what capacity? Theater, film, both?
Film.
Okay. And did you ever work with any of the local film producers in Rhode Island? Like you might know who Chad Verdi is. He's like the largest film producer in the state.
Oh, actually, I don't know. This was a different director from. Like I said, this is going back now.
I should say director, I guess.
30 years.
Okay. All right.
I'm older than most people think. I'm in my 40s, so it's been a long time ago.
All right. So when you're working, how much time do you devote to like a day to your comic strip? Like you work on it every day if you can? I assume you try to.
For the writing, it's usually done in bulk. Usually over the course of a few weeks, I'll write a 24-page script. The art, like I said, done by Brad Shipp. I know he puts in a lot more. He puts in a lot more work on the artist side than I have to do in the writing side, which is nice for me. But but obviously that's why you pay your artists, because they put in the longer hours. And we got the first about half of the comic book all drawn, penciled, lettered, and the Kickstarter is meant to complete it.
Okay.
So the goal is $1,000. So I need basically like 80 backers to hit my goal. So everyone who listens, they want to back an important comic book that, like I said, is smart, a lot of action, interesting characters. Definitely check out my book, The End of All Terminus. And I think you'll see that even if not a lot of hours, like I said, within a week, the script, there's a lot of depth to it.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Okay. Now, does it just involve? Does it involve like the future, space travel in the future? Is that it? Pretty much.
Yeah. So basically, how the premise works is that sometime in the future, I don't give an exact year, but it's in the far future.
Right.
The universe is dying. It's being torn apart. You can for whatever techno babble you want for why it's falling apart, but I call it the rip. But the universe is tearing itself apart, kind of like what you would consider if dark energy became more powerful than dark matter and eventually spread out and pulled apart the atoms. And the last 7 species in the universe boarded a ship called the Terminus with the idea that they can escape the universe. That somewhere, if you get far enough into the universe in my world, of my universe, has an end point to it. It's not infinite.
Okay.
They decide it's not infinite, and they realize if you get to the end of the universe or find the edge of it, you can cross over to the next, whatever comes after the universe. They don't know what's after our universe or outside our universe, but they have no choice but to try to find it. So the comic book basically follows these 7 species as they try to escape out of our universe.
Wow. Okay. But Earth is long gone, right?
Oh, Earth. Yeah. I mean, I don't. It starts off in there's aspects of Earth that's there. As far as in the story, but you kind of have to assume by the point where we are, Earth is probably long. I don't ever show it being blowing up, but it's long gone. You have to assume.
When you teach school, do you inspire your students with your work for your comic strips as well? Your comic.
I discuss it. I don't actually show it to them. For one, the comic books are usually older, mature audience, and
I see.
8th grade, so I can't really show them the comic book. And there's a certain amount of confidentiality. You're not really supposed to try to like give your comic books to them or anything like that. But I used to teach when I taught at the other school I used to teach at. I used to teach a class on comic books, and I had them make their own comic books, and we did that, which was a lot of fun. If you ever want to get kids to write, get them writing comic books. It's easier than writing a short story in many ways, and kids enjoy drawing the pictures. So it's usually a better sell than trying to get them to write a short story.
Okay. Do you have a big family? Do you have a wife and kids, or are you sort of like slinging it by yourself?
No, I have a small family. I have my mother and father are still with us. I have a sister who has a nice family of her own, and I'm married. I have a wife, but we don't have kids yet.
We don't. Oh, I see. Okay, that's great. So that kind of frees you up for doing more stuff, obviously, for you being creative.
It's definitely more affordable. Kids are very expensive. I'm sure I couldn't afford the podcast or the comic book if I had kids at the moment. So those who can balance all of that too, tip my hat to them. But I don't know if I could handle children and my pursuits.
I agree. Me either. Tell me about some of the musicians you've had on your podcast.
As far as the guests, you mean?
Yeah, as guests.
I have recently I've had some great guests. Most of my favorite guests are Armin Sherman. It's Quark from Deep Space Nine. I'm a big fan of him. He was a great guest. Talk to him about the novels that he writes. He's a Shakespeare. Believe it or not, for those who don't know him, he's actually an expert in Shakespeare as well. He's one of the foremost authorities on Shakespeare in our country, and he's also the actor from Deep Space Nine. I interviewed Thomas Jane he played the Punisher he was the second Punisher after Dolph Lundgren. It was an interesting interview as well. Will Wheaton was a lot of fun. We talked about his book. I think it was Just a Geek or something along those lines, or Not Just a Geek. Something I can't remember the details.
That's all right.
And then John Billingsley from Star Trek Enterprise. He's a great guy. He supports. He's one of the people on support PanCan, which is for pancreatic cancer, and we talked about that for a while and his support of that. We talked about his he does also the Hollywood Food Coalition that helps feed people in Hollywood, the poor and homeless. He helps get them food. It's really interesting organization that he has there too. So when you talk to some of these actors and directors and screenwriters and all this other stuff, you do realize that these people are they're fascinating. The good ones are doing way more than just what you see on screen. They're doing a lot of help for a lot of people. They have a lot of other interests that they pursue. And then just talking about creativity is a great pleasure. And I could talk about the creative process all day long, and talking to actors or musicians or whoever is a great opportunity. And it helps me get a little smarter too, because I get a better understanding of acting. I've interviewed some composers, so I got a better understanding of music and music composition by talking to them. And every once in a while, it carries on to school and other things of that nature. Sometimes I've had my guests talk to my students. I'll set something out with them as well, so they can be interviewed by my kids when I was able to do that, which is a lot of fun for me as well.
Of course, it's the art of conversation. And it's not even so much who you interview, it's just, how the conversation goes, because it is an art form, and people hearing it, that looks strong. Is that 45 proof? 90%?
Oh, no, it's just Fiji water. It's Fiji water.
Oh, Fiji, got it. But the way they
Fiji.
Kind of funny, the bottle it looks like gin.
No. It's
I know,
Fiji.
I can see it now, but the way when you don't see the label, that's what I thought you were guzzling. I thought I was driving you to drink over there.
No. I have to drink water.
I know, you gotta drink. I know, it makes your throat sore. I understand. Okay.
Yeah, no, but as a diabetic, I can only really drink water.
Well, how long have you been doing this podcast for?
2.5 years.
Oh, 2.5 years. Okay. Interesting. All right. And you do it like twice a week. Do you have a specific days you do it, usually on the weekends?
I release the episodes. I mean, I do the interviews whenever I can get the guests involved, because when you deal with guests at that level, you kind of have to work on their schedule.
Right.
But I release Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and I usually either release Friday or Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So it's 10 a.m. Eastern time, either Monday, usually it's Monday and Saturday, or Monday and Friday, depending on how busy I am Thursday night.
And how do you reach out to these people? Just on social media, like you've reached out to me and I reach out to you, same thing?
Not completely. I mean, some you can just reach out on Facebook Messenger. Some you can find on Twitter, or I guess it's X now. But the best way if you want to talk to a lot of guests, more notable guests, you want to focus on IMDb Pro. It's where you get the phone numbers of the publicists. Sometimes you get the phone numbers of the actual person themselves. You get their emails, and then you send. I mean, basically, I send a lot of emails for guests. I send tons of them, maybe 40, 50, 60 a month.
Wow.
And I'll get maybe 10 saying yes. So that's kind of like the percentage of success rating you're dealing with. But when you get those 10, you can build upon that 10 and get a bigger, more notable 10 later. You start getting to know publicists, they get to know you, it makes it a little easier. But Usually you got to put the time in. You got to spend hours in a week just emailing people over and over again, asking for that interview, and hope to get lucky. And you'll get lucky. Like I said, I get lucky maybe 1 out of 6.
Okay, I understand because I do. I'm just curious to see if your methods of getting guests are the same as mine. It sounds like they're pretty close. I don't really email at all, but it's given the fact that you've interviewed some pretty big notables. I'm trying to figure out how I can get more notable people on the show. Not that I'm worried about it because I'm doing pretty well, but and to me it looks like if I keep interviewing enough people and you know how active I am on Facebook, sharing the shows every day and getting the views. I assume you do the same thing, right? So you get more views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Probably not as obsessively as I do, but this is the way we do it. It's you know how to market. That's important.
Right.
And I'm sure people now at this point, after you've done this for a while, have been doing it, have been contacting you to get on your podcast too, right? I mean, that's when you know
Right.
you're going on.
I mean, the key things you got to do is get a reputation for yourself, which is important.
Right.
The next thing you need to do is promote. But the key is IMDb Pro, and just keep sending those emails over and over again. Hey, I want this person. I want this person. I want this person. And then you try to get those connections. Yeah, I mean, and it's not always going to work. I've had
you get way more rejections, but if you can get 10 out of 100, that's great. Obviously.
Right. Like I said, it's great. And like I said, and you're not always going to have a perfect interview each time. I mean, there's been a few interviews that I've done when I was like, oh, crumb, I mean, I can't believe how that one went. But sometimes, and that's going to happen. But you get to the next interview, you try again, and you try to do a better show the next time. And eventually, even if you're not getting bigger guests, or you're getting better interviews. And I will say, in my opinion, I've had some really, really good interviews, and I'm feeling I really get some traction now. I'm beginning to get people repeatedly responding to the emails and commenting on the shows and commenting on the YouTube channel, just like that. And 2.5 years, my guess is I'll be at 1,000 subscribers by October of this year, which for me, patience, it worked, and hopefully I'll get there.
Right. So basically, it's kind of cool. So you got to balance like 3 careers. You balance your special eds teaching, and you balance your podcast, and you balance your comic creation. And so I assume budgeting your time doesn't leave you much freedom, although you have to give yourself some aloofness as well. I understand how that works.
Yeah, I mean, also, like I said, I do the publicist thing as well, and I help get people interviews and guests and stuff like that, promote their work. Yeah, I don't have tons of free time. The key to doing anything though is organization.
Right.
And I do my best to really budget how much time I have in a given night. I have a wife that's extremely understanding, which helps as well. And and she's been tolerant of when I'm like, hey, I know you're home today, but I'm gonna be on an interview at 7 o'clock and I'm gonna be busy. And she tolerates it, and I appreciate that. But it's more just budgeting your time. Know how much time you need in a day to complete certain things. Be like, okay, if I do an interview, it's 45 minutes on the show, maybe just assume 45 minutes, maybe 30. This would take me 45 minutes to an hour to prep. I know if I need to edit, it's gonna take me about an hour to 2 to edit. And then promoting is about 30, 45 minutes on any given day. And you just have to be able to just budget in your head exactly how long things take. And you kind of have to just be stubborn about keeping to it. Once you fall out of your schedule and your routine, like anything, like almost like exercises, you're going to fall out forever. So just stick to your routine, stay stubborn with it, and hopefully it's worth it.
Of course it is. And is your wife part of it too? Does she have any of the production going on for you as well? I'm just
no, her primary function is encouragement,
of course,
and tolerance.
Right, I understand.
Encouragement and tolerance is her specialty.
All right. So I know this IMDb. What is it? IMDb.com. Is that it?
It's IMDb Pro.
Pro. I got you. Okay. So that's a website that you reach out on, right?
Yeah, it's an application. It's an app where once you sign in, you got to pay money for it. It gives you access to just about every publicist out there, and every actor and director and screenwriter usually has a publicist or manager. And
right. That's what I figured. I figured you have to go through the publicist and you got to pay for it and all that stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. As long as your budget allows it, is what matters, obviously.
It's not too bad. I think my memory is it's like $20 to $30 a month.
Oh, that's it? Oh, a month or a year? A month.
Month.
Oh, a month. So that adds up to, that's a couple hundred a year then, right?
Yeah.
20, like, yeah. Huh.
Well, it means like anything, you got to pay to play, right?
Well, I suppose. My show was on IMDb. I've been on it for years because a couple of guys thought it was good enough to add it, and I didn't even know they were doing it until they contacted me. You might even know one of them. Do you know Angel Cornell? He's a Rhode Islander now.
Who?
Angel Cornell.
No.
Okay, yeah, he was my publicist for years, and he did a great job for me, and he ended up putting my shows on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube, on IMDb.
Right.
And then eventually I took the account over, and then I started doing it. And Jeffrey, on that note, we're now into the final 5 minutes of the show. I hope you had fun talking to me. I hope this interview that you wanted to do for so long, it came out as the way you wanted it to. I hope I didn't disappoint.
Not at all, sir.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. So in the last 5 minutes, what I want you to do, like I said at the beginning, is just look into your unit there, give shouts out to people that are going to see the show, condense them, and then we'll wrap the show up with my snapping like we started it. So go ahead.
All right, I'm going to give some shout outs first to my wife, Joey Lynn, who is my, she backs me on everything, and she gives me all the encouragement. And, I love my wife a ton. So thank you. I want to thank my wife, Brad Shipp, the artist, Todd Tachioka, the letter for the NFL Terminus, and then special cover artist of Dan Price did a fantastic Bigfoot Knows Karate / Terminus cover. Chris Soloff is doing a great cover. Dennis Valencia is going to do a great cover. Raymond Lee is going to do a great cover. So yeah, those are the people who I would give my shout outs to.
Okay.
And my father.
Okay. And of
my
course,
mother.
I would ordinarily I say to people, if you know anybody that would make a good guest on my show, have them, send them my way. But you've been doing that all along, so that sort of goes without saying. Now, another question. Before we wrap the show up, is there anything coming up in the near future that you want to mention that you might overlook that, that's pertinent? Just think it through. I always ask everybody that. That way we don't miss anything.
I will say, once again, April 4th, the launch of my Kickstarter for Terminus. Please back it wherever you can. Start the tiers start at like $3. And beyond that, there's going to be potentially a big interview that I'm doing with that's going to be like a panel interview that I don't want to say too much about, but it could be happening in April, and I'm kind of excited about the potential for it. But at the moment, I don't want to give any other potential spoilers because I don't want to jinx anything. But some good stuff.
I understand. I just want to make sure that that we're cool in what you covered, and that you don't want to say later, oh, I forgot to tell them. I wish I'd have mentioned this. That way, that's why I always ask these questions.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's great. You did a wonderful job, Jeffrey. It was an honor having you on the show, having somebody that actually has been, a fan of mine for a long time, I guess, or for a while, and you've been getting me great guests all over the country. And I know that. I'm just curious. How do you correspond with the people that you get from me? Just mutual.
People contact me. I don't advertise ever, but people word of mouth. People find me, and I get emails every. Usually, I get emails every month. People asking me to be their publicist, and I usually take 2 or 3 a month.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that. And so you're always hooking me up with new people, and I really appreciate that. It makes it easy for me. All right, well, we're going to wrap the show up. One favor I ask is that once we've wrapped it up, you stick around and let my tech guy take a pic for Facebook, and I'll tag you in it. And if you want to tag me, you can do it. I'd appreciate it. I always love it. And of course, as I said before, I know you'll keep getting me great guests, but the sky's the limit. If you can get any of those people that you interview on your podcast look my way and want to do my show, it's much appreciated. That's up to you. I know that it's not easy to get the people that are I know how IMDb is. I know it's a great network because it enables everybody to have a background that the world can recognize. Obviously, okay. All right. Well, Jeffrey, you ready to wrap? Are you ready? Are you okay to stick around and do a picture for Facebook?
Sure.
Okay. All right, folks. We're going to wrap the show up. Another March is out. April is in. We're coming in with some great shows next month. So get psyched to stay tuned, and we're signing out and signing off and rolling out. See you, Nara. Later.